I use this task tracker at work, and it got me a $10,000 raise and a promotion to director level, and it's super simple to use. I use the Google Sheets version, which you see here, because I like Google Sheets more than Excel. But a lot of you said that you either prefer Excel or you can't use Google Sheets at work. So I did make an Excel version that pretty much mimics it identically. So I'm going to show you how this works, and I'm going to show you how to build it. So the first thing you'll do when you log in each morning is click recurring, and it will add any recurring tasks that need to be completed to your task list. Whenever you start the task, you can mark it as pending, and a timestamp will appear right under task started. When you complete the task, you can mark it as done, and a timestamp will appear under task completed, and it will move to the bottom of the done tab. If you have a deadline associated with the task, it will show up right here, and it will automatically calculate whether you met the deadline or if it was overdue. And it will also automatically extract whatever the start week is, and this is pulled from on our task list, whatever is listed right here as the start date. It will calculate how many tasks you have completed so far this week. If you want to reorder the task by priority, all you have to do is click on it, click ascending, and now you have everything reordered from the most important, which is the recurring task number 1, all the way down to anything that's unable to be completed. If you're not ready to complete the task yet, but you want to keep an eye on it, you can mark it as parked. It will move from this task list to the bottom of the park tab. And then when you are ready for it, you can simply click on ready, and it will move back to the task list. From there, it follows the same flow. So whenever you mark it as pending, a timestamp will appear. And when you mark it as done, a timestamp will appear, and it will move to the bottom of the done tab. All recurring tasks are based off of this calculation. So we have the list of recurring tasks right here, as well as the details. Then over to the right, we have the last added date, which you can see I just added those, and today is May 26th. How many days it's been since the last added. Then it will calculate whether or not it needs to be added again based off of this last added date and the threshold affiliated with the day that you have right here. So the frequency for daily is 1, semi-weekly 3, weekly 7, and so forth. So if the number of days since the last time it was added exceeds this threshold, it will be flagged to yes, and then it will be automatically included when you hit that recurring button. You can easily adjust the task type right here. So for example, if I want to say instead of project completion, I want to say whatever this is, I can go back to task list. Now whenever I drop down here, you can see that that's a new option. On our visualizations tab, we have our task focus, task priority, task completed, and on-time completion, broken up by week as well as month. And this will be flagged based off whatever day they're completed. And then we have a dashboard here that shows how many tasks you have pending on your task list, how many days it's been since the deadline, or how many days it's going to be ahead of the deadline, or if it's open. And it's prioritized based off of the due date and then based off the priority. So that way, even though sometimes the priority may be lower, if the due date's ahead of the other due dates, it's still important. So that way you don't have to update the priority just to get it in the right order. If there is a deadline, you can see the task that's affiliated with the deadline right here, and then it will flag what day today is. All right, so that's how to use the task tracker. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to build it step by step. So the first thing we'll do is create a new spreadsheet. All right, so now we're going to save it. You can name this whatever you want. So I'm going to say rolling task tracker Excel tutorial. Now this is super important. The file format needs to be Excel macro enabled workbook. So it's the .xlsm. If you don't have this one, the automations will not work. This is also a good time to mention that you need to have at least Excel 2021 or Microsoft 365 for this to work. Reason being is I use things like filter formulas and different things that are not available in prior versions. So for this to work, you need to have the newer versions. All right, so now that that's saved, first thing we're going to do is select A1 through G1. Let's go ahead and make those a different color. You can make this whatever color you want. So I'm going to make this kind of a dark blue color, and I'll make the font white. In A1, I'm going to put start date, colon. Then for B1, I'll put the Monday of the current week that I'm working on. I'm actually filming this on a Monday, so I'll put 5/26/2025. And then C1 we'll put completed. And then we're going to put a formula right here, but we're going to hold off for right now. In cell H1, we're going to insert a shape. And I'll make this a rectangle, and I'll just draw it. So it's kind of the same size as the cell. I'm going to make this a gray color, and then let's give it a border. And now it looks like that. And you can kind of play around with it to make it look as nice as you want later on. I'm going to double click into it and type recurring. Then I'm going to double click and I'm going to make it black. And finally, let's make it centered and just a little bit bigger. All right, so it doesn't really fit too well right now. We'll fix that here in a second. So what we can do is we can drag it down, and then let's drag down the first one just to make it fit. Let's also go ahead and make these bigger. So let's make them bold, and let's say 13. I'm going to right align A1, and I'm going to right align C1 right now, it doesn't truly matter. I'm going to make column B a bit bigger. All right, so we can clean this up a little bit later on, but let's continue. So in A1, I'm going to put type, B1, ad hoc tasks. You can name that whatever you want. That's just your task list. Then we have progress/status, priority, deadline, link, task focus, value add, task added, task started, task completed. All right, so these are the options that we need. Let's go ahead and give this some color as well. So we'll click on the background. Let's give it a similar color but different. And then let's go ahead and make those bold. All right, I don't like this color scheme, so I'm going to change it a little bit. There we go. So if you want to resize multiple tabs, just click on all the columns, and then you can make them bigger, and they'll be the same width. And you can kind of play around with the spacing of them a little bit later on as we add things. But this is your spreadsheet, so make it look exactly how you want it to look. All right, so before we keep going, I'm going to rename this as task list, and this does matter. So you right click on the tab, type task list, and the name does matter because the automation pulls from the name. So make sure you put task list. Now we're going to move or copy, create a copy, move to the end, hit OK. We'll rename this as parked, and once again, that does matter, the name. I'm going to delete all of row 1, and now we're good here. Now I'm going to right click on parked, move or copy, create a copy, move to the end, hit OK. Right click, rename, done. And once again, done does matter. All right, so after task completed in column L, we're going to put met deadline. You can put a question mark, no question mark, up to you. And then under column M, we're going to put start week. And both of these will automatically be filled in by the automation. We will add a formula under met deadline, but we'll get to that later. All right, I'm going to go ahead and right click on parked again, click move or copy, move to the end, create a copy, hit OK. And I'm going to rename this as combined list. And now for combined list, we only need to go through the task focus. So I'm going to delete everything here. And then under H, we're going to put task summary. And this will be a calculation a little bit later on. I'll go ahead and delete I through K. And now we're good. Okay, I'm going to add a new sheet. I'm going to go A through K and go down a little bit. And let's go ahead and insert a table. So I'll go to insert table. My table has headers. Okay. You can click whatever color scheme you want. I'll just leave it as this blue. We're going to select M and N. Go to insert table. My table has headers. Okay. And then select a different color. We'll make O tiny. And then under P, we'll go ahead and insert another table. My table has headers. Okay. And then make it whatever color you want. I'll make it a green color. All right. So in cell A1, we're going to type day. In cell B1, type. In cell C1, task list. D1, progress/status. E1, priority. F1, deadline. G1, link. H1, task focus. In I1, we'll put last added. In J1, we'll put days since last. And then K1 to add. M1, frequency. N1, day threshold. And P1 we'll put task focus. All right, let's make these a little bit bigger just to have a little bit of space to see things. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is add the different frequencies and then add the different day thresholds that are affiliated with each frequency. So if it's daily, I want it to be added every single day. If it's semi-weekly, I want it to be added every 3 days, weekly, 7 days, bi-weekly, 14 days, and so forth. You can name these whatever you want. You can add the day thresholds to whatever you want. So if quarterly to you means every 90 days instead of every 92 days, perfect, add that. It's up to you. Now under day, we're going to select A2 through A38, go to data, data validation. Under allow, we're going to say list. And then instead of typing it in manually, we're going to select this little icon and then go down through the end of the column, press enter. And then we'll press OK. Once we do that, now we have a drop down of every single option that is in that list. If you change that later on, it will automatically update this drop down as well. So you're all good to go. I'm going to go ahead and say daily, semi-weekly, weekly, and monthly just to get something on there. Task type will always be recurring. So we're going to add recurring, recurring, and recurring. Task list will be where you put the actual tasks. It's named ad hoc tasks on our actual task list, but you can name it whatever you want. So I'll just say task 1. And then let's go ahead and drag this down. When you do that, it will say task 1, 2, 3, 4 because it recognizes a sequence. Progress/status is always going to be not started at the very beginning. So let's go ahead and add that. Priority, we're going to put 1 space dash space recurring. And this does need to have all those spaces in there. Make sure it looks nice and pretty. So make sure you do that. If you try to drag this down, it's going to try to recognize this as a sequence again. But you can say 1, 1, and then select both of them. And now drag it down, and you'll be good to go. For deadline, you can either leave it blank and add it later, or I recommend if you're trying to have a deadline and it needs to be due that day, you can simply put equals today, open parentheses, close parentheses. When you do that, it will automatically add whatever today's date is as the deadline. If you want it to be 3 days from now, for example, you can say equals today plus 3, and it will automatically calculate however many days it is 3 days from today. So that way you don't have to add them later on. If you want to, you can, but that's my recommendation. Under link, you can put any links that you need. Just make sure it's the URL version. Otherwise, if it has text in there, it's going to copy the text. Task focus, we're going to drop down, go to data, data validation, list, and we're going to select all of this table right here under task focus and press enter and hit OK. Now, right now, we don't have anything, and that's because there's nothing listed. But if we were to add something, so focus 1, focus 2, and so forth, it will automatically be added to the list. So let's go ahead and select a couple of these. And just like last time with the frequency, if you edit any of these, so instead of focus 2, you say focus 22, it will automatically be updated on this list. All right, so here's where the magic happens when it comes to the recurring tasks. So last added, it always needs to have a date. If you don't have a date listed, we can't do any calculations based off the date. So you either need to add today's date, so for example, 5/26/2025, or you need to calculate how many days in the past you want it to be able to trigger to be added on the date that you want it to be. So for example, if I was trying to add it tomorrow, instead of putting 5/26, I'd want to put 5/20/2025. That's because tomorrow is the 27th, and that's 7 days from 5/20. This will make more sense in a second, but just keep that in mind. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and add today's date for the rest of those, and now we need our first calculation. Now, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and paste the formula in there. So it'll be equals if, open parentheses, is blank, open parentheses, I2, which is our date right here, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, comma, today, open parentheses, close parentheses, minus I2, close parentheses. What this is doing is it's looking up if this right here is blank. If it is blank, it's going to return a blank cell. So that's why even though these have formulas here, they're all blank. If it's not blank, then it's going to take today, which today is the 26th of May, and subtract this number right here. And that will return how many days it's been since the last add. So you can see here we have 0 days because today is the 26th. And then right here we have 6, and that's because it's been 6 days since the 20th of May. As I mentioned, tomorrow, when it's the 27th, this will turn into a 7, and then we'll be able to have 7 days which exceeds or meets that weekly threshold. Under to add, we need another formula. This one looks a bit complex, but just type it in, you'll be fine. It'll be equals if, open parentheses, is blank, open parentheses, I2, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, comma, if, open parentheses, or, open parentheses, weekday, open parentheses, today, open parentheses, close parentheses, equals 1, comma, weekday, open parentheses, today, open parentheses, close parentheses, equals 7, close parentheses, comma, quote, no quote, comma, if, open parentheses, J2 minus X lookup, open parentheses, A2, comma, M colon M, comma, N colon N, comma, close parentheses, greater than or equals to 0, comma, inside quotes, yes, comma, inside quotes, no, close parentheses, close parentheses, close parentheses. Let me break this down for you. So just like last time, if I2, which is our last added date, is blank, then it's going to be blank. So that's why even though the formula is down here, you don't see it. Now we have an if-or statement. Full transparency, on the Google Sheets version, they have the ability to add automatic triggers based off of time. So that's why these two right here are here. I did not edit those out. You can leave them, but basically what this says is if the weekday of today is 1, so the first day of the week, which is Sunday, or if the weekday of today is 7, which is Saturday, then I want it to return no. The reason why I have that built in is because since it's automatically added every single day on the Google Sheets version, if you have something that's done daily, I don't want it to be added over the weekend. So that's why I'm saying if today's Saturday or Sunday, I want it to be no, otherwise yes. In the Excel version, since we're manually clicking that recurring button, we don't really need it, but since it was still in the formula, I left it in there. So if you don't want that to be a thing, so if you work Saturday or Sunday, or you just don't want to have to bother with it, you can simply change this to say 8 or 9. Since there's only 7 days in the week, this will never be the case where today's weekday number is equal to 8 or 9. So that way it will be there, but it's not really there. But you can just leave it as is if you want to as well. All right, so if today is Saturday or Sunday, then no. And when I say no, I'm returning no. Otherwise, if it's not Saturday or Sunday, and if J2, which is the number right here, minus the X lookup of this right here, A2, looking it up from M or N, if that's greater than 0, then I'm going to put yes. Otherwise, I'm going to put no. This is saying if 0 minus daily, which is the threshold of 1, if that is greater than 0, then I'm going to return yes. Otherwise, I'm going to return no. Since -1 is not greater than or equal to 1, it's saying no because it's not actual. On the other hand, 6 minus semi-weekly, so 6 minus 3 is greater than or equal to 0, so that's why it's returning yes. If I were to change this from semi-weekly to weekly, it's going to return no. And that's because 6 minus 7 is -1, not 0. So that's where I was talking about where tomorrow it will automatically populate because now it will be 7 days since the last time it was added. So this is working exactly as we want it to work. Let's go back to the task list. And we're going to select A3 all the way through the end of column A. You can hold down Command-Shift down or Control-Shift down to select the entire column very easily. And I'm going to go to Data Validation, List. This time I'm just going to list out all the different options with a comma in between. So these are our task types. We're going to put unplanned. And unplanned is any tasks that were added to your workload throughout the week that you did not know about at the beginning of the week. Planned, that's any tasks that you did know about at the beginning of the week. Recurring, follow-up, unable to start. Then we're going to hit OK. And now you have the different options right here. So unplanned, planned, recurring, follow-up means you need to follow up on something. Unable to start means that you can't start it right now. Now, unlike Google Sheets, you can't add in the coloration to the drop-downs within the drop-down itself. So we need to add some conditional formatting. So I'm going to select all of column A, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, New Rule. I'm going to select Classic, Format only cells that contain, Cell Value equal to, Unplanned, Format with drop-down, Custom Format, Fill, and then add a background color. So I'm going to go ahead and make this an orange color. So now, if it's unplanned, then the background is going to be orange. Now I'm going to go back into Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules. We have everything right here, so I'm going to simply duplicate the rule, double-click into it, and change Unplanned to Planned. Change the background color, so go back into Custom Format, and we'll change this to a green color, for example. And you can make this whatever color scheme you want. I'll hit OK. If it says Stop if true, go ahead and uncheck it. We don't really need that in this case. We'll click Duplicate Row again, double-click, Recurring. I'll change the background of this to a purple color. And if you want to have a darker background color, you can put the font as white. So go to Font, and then the font as white. And now you'll be able to see it look like that, so that way you can still read it. Hit OK, uncheck Stop if true, Duplicate Rule, Recurring, Custom Format, Fill Color, let's make this one a brown color. Hit OK. We need to change this to Follow Up. Uncheck Stop if true, and then let's duplicate that rule again. Double click into it, change it to Unable to Start. And then I'm going to make this one have a black background. Hit OK, and hit OK. Uncheck Stop if true. OK, and now we're good to go. So whenever I mark a different type, it should have a different color. So let's go ahead and test all of these out. I'm and we're good to go. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put task 1, and I'm going to drag this down so that way we have a few different options. All right, now under progress/status, we're going to select C3 all the way through the end of column C. Go to data, data validation, to add another drop down. So we're going to go to list, and then we're going to type these out manually. This will be not started, pending, done, next week, parked, ready. And we need a dash in there too. That way we can have an option where nothing is selected. We'll hit OK. So now by default, you can have a dash if you want to, or you can just say not started. I'm going to go ahead and put not started for all of these. Now we need to add coloration just like last time. We're going to select all of column C, go to home, conditional formatting, new rule, classic, format cells that contain, cell value is equal to, and then let's go ahead and put not started. Format with, custom format. Background color, let's go ahead and put a blue color, and then font, let's go ahead and make that white. Hit OK. So now we have this coloration right here. Now if we go back into conditional formatting, we can go to manage rules and do the same exact thing that we did last time. I'm going to go ahead and speed through this just since you have already learned how to do this, but take your time, make sure you do it correctly. All right, so once you're done, you should have one for pending, one for done, one for next week, one for ready, one for parked, and one for not started. It should apply to all of column C. And you can add whatever color scheme you want, whatever makes you happy. We'll hit OK. And now let's go ahead and test it out. So pending, done, next week, ready, and parked. All right, so everything's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and flip those back to not started, just since that's what flow we have. And now we're going to do the same thing for priority. I'm going to select D3, select the entire column going down. Once again, Command-Shift down or Control-Shift down, depending on if you're using a PC or a Mac. Then we're going to go to Data, Data Validation, List. All right, so we're going to put 1 space dash space recurring. This will be our top priority. 2 space dash space top, comma, 3 space dash space high, comma, 4 space dash space medium, comma, 5 space dash space low, comma, 6 space dash space follow up, comma, and 7 space dash space unable to start. Now make sure you have a dash space dash in between the number and the letter. That way everything is uniformed. And then we'll hit OK. So it should look something like this. Now, just like last time, we need to add some coloration. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of column D, go into Home, Conditional Formatting, New Rule, Classic, Format only cells that contain, cell value is equal to, and then we'll do it one at a time. So 1 space dash space recurring. And then let's go ahead and add a custom format. And let's make the background color be purple and the font color be white. So we're going to make this match essentially what we did over here, just a little bit different. So we'll hit OK and OK. Now I'm going to go back into conditional formatting, manage rules, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate that. Double click, right, 2 space dash space top. And let's go ahead and do custom format just like last time, fill, and let's make it have this red background and hit OK. Now just like last time, you know how to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and speed through this. But take your time, do it right, make sure you type in everything correctly with this space dash space, otherwise it will not flag because it's a different value. All right, so once you have everything done, you can go ahead and just spot check that you have a space dash space in between everything. If you don't, just fix it. Hit OK. And now we can check everything out. So we got recurring, top, high, medium, low, follow-up, and unable to start. So all good there. I just realized I have a typo in deadline, so I'm going to fix that. Then for task focus, we're going to go to G3, select the entire column, go to data, data validation, list, but this time since we already have it pre-made just like we did on the recurring task, we're going to go over here and select all of these options right here and press enter. Then hit OK. Now, I typically don't add any color to these just because you can change these. If you want to add color to them, you can. It's entirely up to you. It's your spreadsheet after all. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to skip it, but you know how to do it. Same concept as here by adding conditional formatting. Now, for sheet 6, I'm going to go ahead and rename this as recurring. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And once again, make sure it's saved as the Grow Enable workbook. Otherwise, it won't work. All right, now let's go ahead and add the automation. Regardless of where you're watching this, all these socials I'm on, you'll see beacons at the top of my profile. Click on App Script Code. This will default to my Google Sheets app script, which is the Google version of VBA macros. But we're going to click into Sheets by Olin, go to VBA, and here are all of my different codes. The original tracker is for a version 2 versions ago. The upgraded tracker is for a version that's last version, but we want to have the rolling automated task tracker. And there's going to be a few of these. So we have the Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, and Module 4. I actually misnamed this. And we have the task list and the park tab. So I'm going to go ahead and put task list. And then all you're going to do is click copy raw file, go back to the spreadsheet, right click, go to view code, and it should look like this. You have the name of your project right here and then all the different tabs. We're going to double click into task list and simply paste that code. It should say worksheet, change, and then have the code right there. And let's go ahead and save it. Go back to the codes. You can make this a little bit bigger to see what it is, but we're going to go to Parked tab next. Once again, copy the raw file, bring up Excel, double click on the Parked tab, and paste it. Let's save that. Now we're going to right click on Microsoft Excel options, go to Insert Module, and then we'll have this different modules part, and it says Module 1. Go here, click on Module 1, hit copy, go back to Excel, paste it. We're going to right click, insert module, it will go to Module 2. Go to Module 2, and this one is what handles the core of the automation. So we'll go here, paste that. And you can see a couple of different notes kind of explaining what different things are doing. This is essentially the core of what allows for a lot of the moving. I'm going to save this, go back to our code, go to Module 3, copy it, right click, insert, module, paste that. This is what allows it to automatically refresh your pivot tables after you move. We'll go to Module 4, copy, insert, module, and paste that. And this is what's going to be able to handle adding all of your recurring tasks. And there's a couple of notes here as well. Save, and let's go ahead and run. Okay. Now you notice when I ran it, it automatically added the task that was marked as yes on our recurring tab, and then it automatically repopulated that to 5/26, which is today's date. So everything is working properly there. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. Let's test out everything else. So if you hit pending, a timestamp should appear right here under task started. If it doesn't, you might need to exit out of your spreadsheet entirely. The app, reopen it, and re-enable the macros. When you open up this type of file, it will ask you if you want to enable macros. Just hit enable, and then it should work for you. You mark a task as parked. It should automatically clear from this list and move to the bottom of the park tab. Now, one thing to note is that if you have spaces or if you have different things that are further down, depending on where it's at, it may return underneath that space. So if you don't see it up top, go to C and just hit Command down or Control down, and it will go down and find where that is. And then make sure anything above that is deleted or cleared. So just a fair warning on that. But once you're there, it should be good to go. So now it's in parked. I'm going to go ahead and mark this as ready. And now it's back to my task list. Let's go ahead and mark this as pending. Whenever you mark it as not started, that's when this task added timestamp appears. Then we can mark it as done, and the timestamp should go all the way over here. There's no formula right now for met deadline, and that's because we haven't added it yet. The reason why we haven't added it yet is because the way that the automation is configured is whenever a new task is added to the bottom, it will copy the formula from the row above it and bring it down. The reason why that happens is because if I had the formula right here all the way down, I wouldn't add the task until after the formula. So kind of going with that same thing I mentioned for the park tab. All right, so for that, we're going to go ahead and click on L2 and add this formula. So it will be equals if, open parentheses, is blank, open parentheses, E2, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, comma, if, open parentheses, round down, open parentheses, K2, comma, 0, close parentheses, less than or equal to round down, open parentheses, E2, comma, 0, close parentheses, comma, inside quotes, on time, comma, inside quotes, overdue, close parentheses, close parentheses. So what this is saying is if the deadline is blank, then it's going to be blank. Right now the deadline is blank, so that's why it's blank. If it's not blank, then we are going to round down the date, and the date is actually a number on the back end, so that's why we need to round it down to 0. Otherwise, if the task completed is at 11 a.m. on the 26th, but the deadline is just the 26th, then it's going to say that this wasn't met because technically that's later than midnight, which is zeros, so that's why it has to be that way. So if the task completed is less than or equal to the deadline, then it's going to return on time. Otherwise, it's going to return overdue. So for this to make sense, let's go ahead and put the 26th. You can see right here it says on time. 27th also says on time because we completed it before the 27th. And then let's say the 25th. And you can see it's overdue because we completed it the day after the deadline. So everything is working exactly as we want it to work. I'll go ahead and leave that for later. So now that this formula is right there, you can see right here in L3, we don't have anything. But let's go ahead and send something else. So let's go ahead and put pending and done. Now when we go to our done tab, you can see right here in L3, we now have a formula. It's blank because there's nothing here. But if we were to drag this down, now you can see it's on time because the 26th is equal to the 26th. So everything is working exactly as we want it to work. I'm going to go ahead and fix this deadline since I have that misspelled. I'm going to go to the Part tab and fix that as well. And I think that's everything that I need to fix. Oh, Combine tab as well. Perfect. So now we have something on the Done tab and we have something on the task list. So now we can do the combined list. So for the combined list, what we're going to do is we're going to stack everything from the task list on top of everything from the done list. Before we get started, to select these ranges, you can either type it in or you can go. So for example, task list A3 to G9956, that's over here. Task list, select A to G all the way through the end of the column. I have it going through 9,956. The biggest thing is you have to make sure that these ranges match and these ranges match. These don't necessarily have to match the other ones in the task list with the done tab, but they have to match within their own tab. All right, so I put equals filter, open parentheses, V stack, open parentheses, if, open parentheses, A3 through G9956 equals quote, quote, which is blank. Then we're going to return quote, quote, which is blank. Otherwise, we're going to take from the task list A3 through G9956. We'll close parentheses, then put a comma. If, open parentheses, done, so from the done tab, A2 through G9998 equals quote, quote, which is blank, comma, quote, quote, comma. From the done tab, that same range, done, A2 through G9998. Close parentheses and close parentheses. Then we'll put a comma, V stack, task list B3 through B9956, which is the same as we had before. Instead of it being the entire A through G, it's only column B, which is where our tasks are. Comma, done, B2 through B9998, which is the same range as we had before, just in column B where we have our tasks. Close parentheses, not equals to, so a less than, then a greater than, quote, quote, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses. So I'll break this down into the VStack first, and then I'll go over the filter. So VStack, we're saying if in the task list A3 through A is blank, then we want it to be blank. Otherwise, we're going to return the contents of A3 through G9956 from the task list. The reason why we need to have that is because if we don't, then when it is blank, it's going to return a 0. So it'll be a whole bunch of zeros. So that's from the task list. Now we're going to do the same thing for the done tab. So if done A2 through G998 is blank, then we want to return a blank. Otherwise, we want to return the values of A2 through 9998 for the done tab, so right there. Now, as I mentioned, it gets rid of the zeros, but it doesn't get rid of the blanks themselves. So if we were to not have this filter formula in there, then it would have all the not started from the task list, a whole bunch of different blanks, and then it would have the 2 done tabs at the very bottom of them after a bunch of different blanks. We don't want that, so that's where the filter formula comes into play. So we're going to filter that VStack formula. So that's what this is right here. And then we're going to have a condition where after a comma where we're stacking another one. So filter is going to look at column B with that same range from the task list and column B with that same range from the done tab. And it's going to see if it's not blank. If it's not blank, it's going to return it. If it is blank, then it's going to return a blank. And when it does that, it filters out all those different blanks that would have been there previously and simply stacks it on top of each other. That's all good to go. Now under task summary, we're going to put this formula. And what this will do is it will give us a nice little summary of the priority, the status, and the actual task name. Why we need this is because this is what's going to populate within the little snapshot calendar that we have based on the deadline. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything to do. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. It will show the name of the task. Then it will show the priority without the leading number. And then it will show the status. So what this is saying is if C2 is blank, so if is blank C2, then we're going to leave it blank. Otherwise, we're going to join B2 and space dash space. And we're going to split this priority right here, and they're going to split it based off of a blank, and we're going to take the third of the index. So typically when you see split, you're splitting this, and then you need the delimiter, and this will be a space. So it looks like this. So what we're doing with that index is we're only returning that third cell instead of having everything split into different cells. So that's what's going on here. And then we're joining that with another space dash space just for formatting and with the contents of C2. So that's why you get the task, then a space dash space, just the priority without the number, space dash space, and then whatever progress slash status it's in. All right, so with the nature of this, we need to go ahead and drag this formula down, and let's go ahead and anticipate a bunch of different rows. So let's drag it down as far as you want. I would say at least like 2,000 to 3,000, but it's not hard to drag down, so just keep going to wherever you don't want to anymore. All right, so I went down to 4,715 just randomly. All right, so now you can see everything's working exactly as we want it. So right here, task 4, medium, done. And right here, you can see the deadline is in number form, and that's because on the back end, deadlines are numbers. If you want to, you can go right here, select everything, go to home, and format it as a short date. If you want to leave it as a number, it doesn't really matter. Realistically, this is more of a pass-through tab, so at the end of the day, we're going to hide this. You're never actually going to look at it. It is there, so it's up to you. All right, now we're going to click the plus button, add a new tab. And this will be called Worksheet, so we'll rename this as Worksheet. And this is where we're going to add a bunch of different pivot tables, so that way we can build our charts based off of those pivot tables. We're going to go to Done, select A through M, go to Insert, Pivot Table, Existing Worksheet, and then we're going to go back to that worksheet. And you can put it wherever you want. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in A2 and hit OK. Then we'll hit Done. All right, under Ad Hoc Task, I'm going to drag that under Values, and this will be the count of the values. And then we want the Task Focus. This will be under Columns. And then we want Start Week. Now, if you look right here, we only have one really. And that's because we only have one start week listed on our Done tab. So I'm going to go ahead before we keep going and just kind of send a few more down. Let's put pending and done. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this down to the 19th, just so we have something different for the week starts. All right, now I'm going to change this back and we are good. Okay, so if we look down here now on our worksheet, all right, so now we have a couple of different options. We have a blank and we have a couple of different labels here. We also have a blank. Now to get rid of those blanks, I'm going to click into the filter for column labels. Under by value, I'm going to say greater than 0, and then hit enter. Reason why we want that is because we want to have the blank still there. That way everything is selected. So if you add focus 5, focus 10, whatever, they'll still be included. Otherwise, you'll need to manually go in and make sure those are selected once they're added, and press enter. Then we're going to do the same thing here. So greater than 0, press enter. So that gets rid of the blanks. but it doesn't get rid of the blanks if there is nothing that's there. Here we have a 0, and that's why that's still there. So I'm going to put this as a 7. Now if I go back to my worksheet, it will still be blank. That's because we didn't send anything there to update it. So I need to go pivot table analyze, and now I can refresh it. So now that it's refreshed, everything is working exactly as I want it to. We don't need these grand totals, so I'm going to right click and remove grand total. Same thing here, right click, remove grand total. So everything is good to go there. Now I'm going to select the pivot table, go many rows over to the right to anticipate further focuses and things like that, and paste it. Go into pivot table analyze, go into our field list right here. For this, we want to summarize by the month, but since we only have things in May, that's messing things up. So we need to go back into our done tab, and under start week, let's change this one to April. Let's go here to refresh it. And now we can go back to our field list, add start week, and now we have the months, the days, or just the start week. We want the months in this case. So I'll get rid of everything else except for the month. Now, just like last time, we have these extra dates in here. So I'm going to click on the drop down, go to by value greater than equals 0, press enter, hit OK, just to refresh it. Thing here, so I'm going to go to greater than equals to 0, press enter to refresh it. So now everything is working exactly as we planned. Over here, you can see that now it's grouped a few different ways. We don't want that, so let's go back into our field list, and we're going to remove everything except for start week. So now it's back to how it should be. All right, now we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this, go many columns to the right, paste it, go to pivot table, analyze, field list. We don't want the task focus anymore. Instead, we want the priority. And let's add back in the start date week. Now we're good there. Let's add back in those greater than or equal to 0 filters, so that way we don't have any blanks in there. Now we're good to go. Same thing over here. Pivot table analyze, field list, get rid of start week, add start week back, and we want just the months. Make sure everything is good with those greater than or equal to zeros. And it is. I'm going to select the week, go over here, plenty of space, paste it, pivot table analyze, field list, get rid of priority, add type, exit out of that, add in that value again, so greater than 0. This one's already there, so we're all good there. Copy the months. Add some rows, paste it, table analyze, field list, get rid of priority, add type, filter so that way it's greater than 0 for the labels, make sure everything is good to go to get rid of all the blanks. Everything is good now. Copy the weeks, add columns to the right. Then instead of type, we're going to put met deadline. Same thing as last time, make sure you set up the by value greater than 0. This one's already good to go, so we're good to go there. Now, last one we need to do is the month. We don't need to go too far over since there's only a few options. Now we're going to go to pivot table analyze, field list, and instead of type, we want this to be met deadline. We'll add that by value filter to greater than 0. Now for this one, I don't care about any of the blanks, so I'm actually going to uncheck anything that is blank. Here, same deal. We don't care about any of the blanks. We only want to see anything that actually does have a deadline, so I'm going to uncheck anything that is blank. And now we're good to go. So there should be 8 in total, so we should have a task focus that's broken up by week, a task focus that's broken up by month, a priority that's broken up by week, priority that's broken up by month, task type that's broken up by week, and a task type that's broken up by month, and then a on-time completion broken up by week, and an on-time completion broken up by month. Both of them should have a filter for both the column and the row, that it has to be greater than 0 to get rid of a lot of the blanks. For the on-time completion, there should be no blanks at all. And lastly, there should be no grand totals. The next step we're going to do is create different visualizations. So I'm going to insert a new sheet, right-click, rename, visualizations. All right, so now we're going to build the visualizations. So we're going to go back to the worksheet and we're going to use these pivot tables. So I'm going to go to the very first pivot table, click into it, then go to Pivot Table Analyze. And we're going to select Pivot Chart. Now I'm going to cut this, go to Visualizations, and then paste it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that way we can see things a little bit easier. And now I'm going to go to Design. I'm going to change the chart type, column, and I want it to be this middle stacked column chart. Then I'm going to go to Add Chart Element, Chart Title, Above Chart. I'm going to put Task Focus Completed, Enter by Week. Once you press Enter, you'll have a nice little chart title above it. I'm going to go into it and say Axis Titles, Primary Horizontal, delete everything that's there, and I'm going to put Week Completed. Add chart title, axis title, primary vertical. I'm going to put number of completed tasks. So after everything, it should look like this. You should have a title up top, number of completed tasks to the left, and week completed to the bottom. And it should be the week of task focus. I'm going to go back and do the same thing for the next one. So I'll click into the next one, go to Pivot Table Analyze, Pivot Chart, click on it, cut it, visualizations. Underneath that, paste it, and I'll make it a similar size. And do the same thing. So we're going to go to Design. So we're going to go to Design, change the chart type, column, the middle stack column chart, add chart element, chart title above. And this time we'll put Task Focus Completed, Enter by Month. We'll go to the Axis Titles, Primary Horizontal, Month Completed, and then go back to Axis Titles Vertical, number of completed tasks. Perfect. So we're going to do this for every single one of them. So I'm going to speed through this. All right, so after you're all said and done, you should have 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. All 4 on top should be based off of the week for the various types. And all 4 on the bottom should be based off of the month for the various types. And we should have task focus, task priority, type completed, and on-time completion. Now it looks a little bit messy in the back because of the grid lines. So we're going to go to View and uncheck grid lines. Now you have a nice little white background. If you want to go a step further, you can select everything behind it. And then go to Home and add a fill color of a light color. So let's say like this color right here. And now that helps it pop a little bit more. So entirely up to you, make it your own. All right, but the visualizations are done. So all these are tied to the worksheet right here. Now that it's tied to the worksheet, we don't need to see the worksheet. So we can simply click Hide. And now we're good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag visualizations. So that way it's at the very end. And we're going to add a new sheet. Now this new sheet is going to be our dashboard. So I'm going to rename this as Dashboard. I'm going to select A1 through F3. Click Merge and Center. And I'm going to add this formula. So equals if, open parentheses, count A, open parentheses, from the task list B3 all the way through the end of B. So on the task list, everything that's right here, all the way through the end of however far you want to go, is equal to 1, then comma, and inside quotes, put you have space in the quote, ampersand, count A. So this is the same exact count A as right here. So you can just copy and paste that. Ampersand, quote, space, task pending, quote, comma, quote, you have, space, quote, ampersand. That same count formula right there. Ampersand, quote, space, tasks pending, quote, close parentheses. So what this is doing is it is looking up how many tasks you have pending, and that's what this count is. So it's looking up the count of how many tasks you have pending right here. If it's only one task pending, it's going to return you have one task pending. If it's multiple tasks pending, then you're going to have you have however many tasks pending. So the only difference between the two is one has a task and the other one is tasks. So one's plural, one's not, just for punctuation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here to the front of the dashboard, and now I'm going to format this a little bit. So I'm going to make that an orange background. I'll make it size 20. You can change it to whatever font you want to do. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to center it vertically and center it horizontally. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to select all the columns, then make it just about that wide. And then do the same thing for the rows. I will select all the rows, select the line in between, and make it about that wide. We might need to increase this a little bit by itself. And now we're good. All right, I'm going to make column G super small, right around here. I'll skip row 4, make that a little bit bigger. And now in row 5, I'm going to merge all of these together, make it a little bit bigger. And I'll put pending tasks. Underneath it, I'm going to put type, task, status, priority, date, and due in. Let's give this some color. So I'm going to make this a blue color, and I'll make this the same blue color. And if you don't like any of these colors, you can always go to more colors here and select whatever color you want. So let's say I want to have more of a deep blue. I can. And then once you select it once, you can select it again super easily. So let's go ahead and select that again. And then let's make everything here have a white text. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I'll make that size 16 and center it. Okay, so now in cell A7, we're going to add this formula. If you add it and it's not working, add some more tasks to the task list and that may solve the issue. So I'm not going to lie, this is a very complex formula. I'm not going to go into it too far. But basically what's happening here is it's filtering everything that's on the task list that has a due date, and it's putting it on top. And then it's going to stack everything on the task list that doesn't have a due date on the bottom. It's also replacing any blank rows with blank. And then if there's any blank cells within the range, it's also replacing it with blank instead of having a 0. So once again, pretty complex, but it will work. And once again, you can look at the ranges. So on the task list, you will select cells A3 all the way through E as far down as you want to go. Make sure it's anchored in so that way it doesn't change, but you can see everything right here. One thing to point out is that this does contain both open parentheses and open curly braces. So for example, right here with the 5 and the 4 is an open curly brace. So I'm stacking everything and then I'm sorting it by the due date and then the priority. So that's where these curly braces come into play. All right, but just to read it out for you to make it easier for you to follow along with, it'll be equals if error, open parentheses, sort, open parentheses, v stack, open parentheses, if error, open parentheses, filter, open parentheses, from the task list cells A3 through E9976, comma, open parentheses, from the task list cells B3 through B9976. Make sure that those ranges match, with the exception of the column. It's not equal to, so less than or greater than, quote, quote, close parentheses, times, open parentheses, from the task list cells E3 through E9976 is greater than 0, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses, comma, if error, open parentheses, filter, open parentheses, from the task list cells A3 through D9976, comma, open parentheses, from the task list B3 through B9976 is not equal to, quote, quote, close parentheses, times, open parentheses, from the task list cells E3 through E9976 equals blank, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses, comma, open curly brace, 5, comma, 4, close curly brace, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses. All right, so now we're going to do a do in formula. Now you can see a number right here, so let's go ahead and drag this down. Let's change this into a short date. And now we have the date. All right, so for the do in, this is going to calculate how many days it is until the due date. And it's going to look to see if there is a due date or not. If it's not a due date, it will return open. So the formula is equals if, open parentheses, is blank, open parentheses, B7, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, comma, if, open parentheses, E7 equals, quote, quote, comma, inside quotes, the word open, comma, E7 minus today, open parentheses, close parentheses, close parentheses, close parentheses. So there should be 3 close parentheses. So what this is saying is if the task is blank, then we want it to be blank. If the task is not blank, it's going to look at the date. If the date is blank, we want it to say open. And if it's not blank, we want to subtract E7 minus today. I'm filming this on May 26th. The date is May 27th, so it's returning 1 day, which means that this is due in 1 day. Now down here, you can see that we have open, and that's because there is no due date. But if I were to go to the task list and add a due date, we'll say the 26th, then you can see right here, it changed to 0. Then you can see right here, it changed from open to 0. And the reason why it changed order is because we now have that due date ahead of the next due date, so it has a higher priority to complete. All right, so I'm going to drag this formula down, and we're going to go all the way to 56. 56 is as low as we are going to go with this table. So now we're good to go. All right, now H through N, I'm going to go ahead and merge and center. And we're going to make this a different color. I'm going to go ahead and put a green color. And then I'll make the text white. And I'm going to make this a little bit wider. And I'm going to type 5/1/2025. Now, this is a date, obviously. But we're going to go in here and go to more number formats. And at the end of the day, I just want to see the month name. So even though there'll be a date on the back end, I want to visualize it as just the month. So I'm actually going to go to custom, and then I'm going to type in M. So there'll be 3 M's, and you can see here in the sample, now instead of it showing a date, it shows May. So I'll hit OK, and now you can see it shows May. I'm going to make this bigger, so I'm going to make this size 18. I'm going to make it centered vertically, centered horizontally, and bold. So even though it says May, you can see right here, it says May 1st. If I were to change this to 7, it'll say July. And you can see here it's kind of abbreviated. So I'm actually going to go back into it and add a 4th M. So that way it shows the whole name, not just the abbreviation. So let's do one more time. Let's do a longer one. So let's say 9. And it says September. So there you go. So this is always going to be the first of whatever month you have. You don't want to put it as September 12th or anything like that, because then the formatting is going to be off in the calendar. You want to make sure it's the first of the month. All right, so I'm going to change this back to May. And then under in H2, we're going to type in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you go based off of a Monday through Sunday schedule instead, you can adjust this. You'll just need to adjust the formulas. So in cell H3, we're going to type equals EO month, open parentheses, H1, comma, -1, close parentheses, minus weekday, open parentheses, H1, comma, 3, close parentheses. Now you can see right here, we actually have a number because it's general format. So we're going to go into more number formats, go to custom, and now we actually just want to have DD, which stands for day. And we want to have a 2D, so that way it's a 2-digit day. Hit OK. And now we have the 27th. Now, if you were to look at a calendar, if you look at the week of May 1st, the Sunday prior to May 1st is the 27th. So that's why it's showing that. Now, if you were to go based off of a Monday through Sunday schedule, at the end, all you have to do is add a +1, and that will give you the correct date. Under Monday, we're going to simply go into type equals this +1, and that gives us every single day that we need. And for May of 2025, the first fell on Thursday, so that's why you see everything like this. Now we're going to skip 8 rows and then go down to the 12th row. Then we'll put equals in 3 +1. And then we're simply going to copy this and paste it. And we need that same format, so I'm going to click on cell I12, click format, then select H12, and that will give that same 2-digit format. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this, go down to row 21, paste it, go down to row 30, paste it, go to 39, paste it, and go to 48 and paste it. Now the reason why we have so many different rows is because we want to make sure that we incorporate every single month. So even if it's a 31-day month, the first falls here, and the end of the month falls on that 6th week, we want to make sure it's captured. So that's why we have more than enough. Now in H4, we're going to type this formula in. So we're going to type equals if error, open parentheses, index, open parentheses, filter, open parentheses. And we're going to use this combined list. So we're going to do combined list H2 through the end of column H, which is all of these task summaries, comma, from that combined list, E2 through the end of column E, which is the deadlines right here, is equal to H3. So this is from the dashboard where we currently are, H3. Then we'll put a comma, quote, quote, comma, sequence, open parentheses, 8, close parentheses, comma, 1, close parentheses, comma, quote, quote, close parentheses. So what this is going to do is it's going to look up the date that's in the combined list right here, and it's going to return the task summary. Now where this index falls into play is it's only going to incorporate the first 8. So if you're familiar with Google Sheets, this kind of acts as an array constraint, but it's a little less user-friendly than that formula. We had to be a little bit more strategic. So this is counting the first 8. Then anything after 8 will not appear on this list. And then if there's an error, aka there's nothing to return, then it's going to be blank. All right, so that's all there. So I'm going to drag this formula over to the rest of the rows. Then I'm going to copy it, paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it, and paste it. So you can see here that we have nothing in most of these, and that's because there's nothing that has due dates around there. But where we do have due dates, it shows exactly where it's at. So on the 25th, we have task 4, that was a medium priority that is done. On the 26th, we have a top priority that's not started, and we also have a top priority that's done, and so forth. So everything's looking properly there. All right, we're almost done here. Now we just need to set up some formatting. So I'm going to select H1 all the way through N56 right here. Go to conditional formatting, new rule, classic style, format cells only that contain. All right, this time it's going to be specific text containing, then the word done. So we're going to go to custom format. Fill will be no color. Font will be a dark gray. And I'm going to make it italic as well. Now I can hit OK and OK. And just to see what that looks like, we'll hit OK. So anything that is done will now be dark gray and italicized. I'm going to go back into conditional formatting, manage rules, duplicate this rule. And this time I'm going to put pending. And I want pending to be similar vibe, but regular font. And I want this to be a dark green. Then I'll hit OK. And I'll hit OK. All right, so that's it for the 2 statuses to flag where things are in the calendar. Now we need to add some coloration to the actual calendar. So I'm going to go to duplicate rule, use formula to determine which cells to format. I'm going to type equals today, open parentheses, equals H1. We'll make this have an orange color. We'll make the font be white and hit OK. Then we'll hit OK again. And I actually want these to be below. So if you go see this change rule order, I can click on down arrow twice and now it's just below these. And I'll hit OK. So now, like I said before, I'm filming this on May 26th. So since today is May 26th, this is actually May 26th on the back end, even though it has a formula, because May 26th. So that's why that's formatted. All right, so now I'm going to go back into it and manage rules. We'll go to the one that has the formula, duplicate rule, double click into it. And this time the formula is going to be equals month, open parentheses, $H, $1, close parentheses, equals month, open parentheses, H1 without dollar signs, close parentheses. And I'm going to change this to be the same coloration that I have up top. So I'm going to change this to a fill, add that green, and then the font will be that white color regular. Now once I press OK, we'll stop if true, go down, we'll bring this down, hit OK. Now once you do that, you should have every single day that's affiliated with the current month as the same color. So this is May 1st, that's May 2nd, that's May 3rd. This is April 30th, 29th, 28th, 27th, so that's why it's not correlated. Same thing down here, this is the 1st of June, so that's why it's not being flagged. And if you find that today's date is green instead of the other color, that means that you didn't order it correctly. You need to make sure that the today is above the month. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of the days, and I'm going to change those colors as well. So we'll make that have a green background and white. I'm going to make them bold and centered. And I'll make them centered vertically as well. And then for every single day, I'm going to add a background color of a kind of a light gray. So if it has conditional formatting, it will still be shown as the color that we have for the conditional formatting. But if it is not falling within this month, I'll have that light gray. So that way it's easy to identify which ones are in and which ones are out of month. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the days, go to format, paste for the next month, format, paste for the next month, format, paste for the next week, format, paste for the next week, and format, paste for the next week. All right, so it should look like this. Now we can try it out. So if we go here to our formula, let's go ahead and put August, and it should shift automatically what is and what is not formatted based off of what falls within August. So you can see right here, we are actually using all 6 weeks because the 31st falls within that 6 weeks. So everything's good. Now I'm going to go to View, Grid Lines, and uncheck those. I'm going to go all the way around the bottom of it, all the way down to 56. Go back to Home. We want to add a thick box border all around the outside. I'm going to do the same thing right here, all around the outside. For the month as well as the days of the week, I'm going to say all borders. Then around each day, I'm going to add an outside border. So I'm going to click here, go to outside border. I want that same formatting for every single one. So I'm going to select it, go to Format, click on the next one, 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 Format, click on the next one. So it should look like this once you're done. I'll go ahead and select all of those. Format, click on the next week. Format, click on the next week. Format, next week. Format, next week. Format, next week. So now it's looking like a calendar. If you want, you can play around with how the spacing is and things like that. This is just a tutorial, so I'm just going to leave it as is. All right, now I'm going to give some structure to our pending tasks over here. So I'm actually going to add all borders, and then I'm going to add a thick box border. So that way it's thick box border on the side, but it still has structure inside. All right, now one thing to note is this is going to look like a table, but it's not a table. So don't try to take a shortcut and don't try to make it a table because the formulas will not work the way they need to because it's going to try to repeat. So we want this to look like a table, but not be a table. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and select everything from pending tasks all the way down to the end of 56. We'll go to conditional formatting, new rule, change this to classic, change this to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And we're going to put this formula. So we'll type equals mod, open parentheses, row, open parentheses, close parentheses, comma, 2, close parentheses equals 0. And let's go ahead and give this a custom format. We'll fill it with a light blue color to kind of go along with theme and press OK. Then we'll press OK again. So what that's going to do, it's going to give the appearance of having a table where you have the alternating colors to make it easy to read, but it's not actually alternating colors. See, we actually have the headers included in that range. We don't want that, so I'm actually going to go back into Manage Rules. And instead of starting in A5, I want this to start in A7. I'll click check, so that way it applies it to the range, then hit OK. So now you can see here the formatting doesn't start until it reaches the task list. Now we're going to add some color for status, and we're going to add color for priority. Then we'll also add color for the due and to kind of make that a little bit easier to read. So we're going to copy essentially the same formatting that we have here. We just need to recreate it. So under status, I'm going to select C7 all the way through C56. Go to conditional formatting, new rule. Classic, format cells that only contain cell value is equal to. And then we have next week. Press enter. And then same deal as last time for next week. I'm going to have a red background. And then the font is going to be white. I'll hit OK, hit OK. And now we're good to go there. So I'm going to go back into conditional formatting, manage rules. Now that we have this applies to, I can simply duplicate it, double click into it. Instead of next week, I want this to be not started. And then for the background, I'm going to have a blue color. And the font's going to be white again. I'll hit OK and OK. I'll uncheck stop if true. Duplicate, double click, change this to pending. And I'll make this background color a yellow color. And the font will still be white. Hit OK and OK. I'll hit OK so you can see what we did so far. So you can see that our not starters are colored. And if I go to task list, I can drop down, put one as pending, put one as next week. and they adjust accordingly. All right, for the priority, instead of having to type everything out, we're going to do a little bit of a trick. So I'm going to select D7 all the way through D56. Go to conditional formatting, new rule, classic, format cells that only contain, cell value equal to, and so now instead of typing out 1 space dash space recurring, what you have to do is just type the number because there should only be one number per. So I'm going to put 1 for recurring. I'll go to custom format, fill, change that to a purple color, change the font to white, hit OK, and OK. So if there are any recurring tasks, which there are not right now, it will flow through right there. So I'll go back into manage rules, go ahead and duplicate that, double click, change that from a 1 to a 2, custom formula, fill will be a red color, hit OK, and OK. Uncheck stop if true. We'll duplicate that rule, change it to a 3. This will be for high, so we'll go ahead and change this to a blue color, hit OK, OK, duplicate, double click, change that to 4. And that will be for medium, so we'll change this to an orange color. And if you forget what color schemes you have, you can always exit out of this, go back to your task list, and then select whatever color it is. You can see what color is there. And it doesn't really matter if it's 100% perfect. As long as it works, it works. I just realized that it should be cell value contains, not is equal to. So we're actually going to say specific text contains, and this one will be 4. Okay. Change this. Specific text contains 3. Okay. Double click. Specific text contains 2. And double click specific text contains 1. Hit OK. We'll uncheck everything that's stop if true. Then let's go ahead and hit OK to make sure it's working. Okay, so everything's working properly now. Let's go back into it. Manage rules. Let's go ahead and duplicate this one. Double click. Contains 5. Custom format. The fill color will be this light orange color. And the font will be black. Hit OK. Uncheck for stop if true. Duplicate 6. Background will be brown. Font color will be white. OK. OK. Duplicate, double click. 7. And the background will be black. Font will be white. OK. And OK. Uncheck stop if true. And now I'm going to hit OK, and everything should be populated right here. Now for do in, let's go ahead and select F7 all the way through F56. Conditional formatting, new rule. Classic, format only cells that contain. Cell value is less than 0. Then we'll go to custom format, and if it's less than 0, I want it to be a dark red color, and I want the font to be white. I'll hit OK. So I want it to look like that if it's less than 0. Then I'll hit OK. Stop if true. I'll duplicate this rule, double click into it, and if it's equal to 0, I want it to be a orange color to kind of flag it to me that I need to complete this today. I'll hit OK. Uncheck stop if true. Duplicate, double click. If the cell value is between 0 and 5, then I'm going to make it have no background. I want the font to be a dark orange color to flag it to me that I need to complete it, and I'll go ahead and make it bold. I'll hit OK. Now I just realized I have 2 of these less than, so I'm going to select one and click the little minus button to delete it. Uncheck stop if true. Duplicate this rule. Double click into it. This time I want it to be between 5 and 14. I'm going to format this instead of orange. I'm going to make it a green color. Hit OK. Hit OK again. And finally, duplicate the rule. Double click into it. And then greater than 14. Custom format. And realistically, I guess you don't need to have this, but we're going to change it to automatic, change it to regular, fill, will be no background. So it's just a normal font. I'll uncheck stop if true. For anything that does not have the cell coloration in the background, I want to go ahead and move these down below the rows. If we don't move those down below the rows, then it's going to stop having the coloration in the background. But if we do move them down below the rows, and when I say the rows, I mean the coloration of the row, so every other row. But if we do move it down beneath the row, then it's going to color the background, and then it will change the font. So I'll hit OK. And now we're good to go. So you can see right here, this one changed it to a 1, and it's like an orange color. So that's between 0 and 5 days. This one right here is 0 days, so we need to flag it for today. All right, so things are kind of getting a little bit messy right here. So I'm going to select everything from pending tasks all the way down through the end of row 56. Go to conditional formatting, manage rules, so that way everything is in one spot. And now we can format it as we need. Essentially, anything that has a fill in the back, we need to have it above the row. Anything that doesn't needs to be below the row. So I'm going to go ahead and move these all down. Move this one down as well. Uncheck stop if true, hit OK. All right, so now we're all good to go. So you should have all the rows alternating. You should have every single option for status, for priority, both of those having color in the background. And then for the doing, be able to see the text formatting above the row formatting. All right, so everything's good to go there. If you want to, you can make this a little bit wider to see the different tasks. And now you have your dashboard. So I'm going to change this back to May. That way we have everything in one spot. And let's go ahead and test this out. So before we do anything, let's go ahead and save it. Let's say we have a task added to your workload throughout the week. You can mark that as unplanned. I'll say this is task 10. Mark it as not started. When you mark it as not started, a timestamp should appear. If you don't want the actual times, you can always select all of these and go to General, Short Date, and that will give you just the dates. Go ahead and mark this one as high. Let's give it a deadline of 6/1/2025. We'll say the link is google.com. Task focus, let's select focus 9. Value add is how this task brings value to the company. So that way you have the rolling list of everything that you've done that brought value to the company, which is great for the performance reviews as well as dusting off your resume. We're good here. So before we go further, let's go ahead and mark this task as parked. And it should move from this list to the bottom of the park tab, which it does. Now let's move it back to the task list by marking it as ready. And then let's go ahead and move this to pending. It add a timestamp under task started. And then let's move it to done. And it should add a timestamp under task completed. Move the task to the bottom of the done tab, calculate whether it was on time or not, and add the start week, which should be this date right here. Just realized we never set up the completed counter, so let's go ahead and do that real quick before we continue. So the formula for the completed counter will be equals count ifs, open parentheses, from the done tab. It will be column K, so K1 through the end of column K, which if you look right here is our task completed, comma, inside quotes, greater than or equal to, ampersand, task list B1, so this cell right here, which is the date, comma, from the done tab, all of column K. That's the same numbers, same range as this right here, so you can just copy and paste it if you want, comma, inside quotes, less than or equal to, ampersand, task list B1, so this cell right here, plus 7. So what this is saying is if the task completed is greater than or equal to this date we have right here, and if the task completed is less than or equal to this date plus 7, then we're going to count it. Otherwise, we're not going to count it. So if I were to change this to the 19th, for example, that will be 0 because all of our completed dates are this week. Change this back to the 25th. Then we're good. So we have 6 tasks that we've completed so far this week. If I go to my Done tab, you can see that we have 6 tasks that we've completed so far this week. You'll notice that since we changed the formatting on the other tab, it now has the same formatting on this tab. We'll go ahead and just clean it up to make this all one. So we'll change this to short date so everything is nice and tidy. That's all good. Okay, so now back to how we were. All right, so everything's good to go there. You can see that Google is now listed in the link as well. We don't need to see combined list anymore, so we can go and hide this by right-clicking and clicking hide. For our recurring test, nothing needs to be added again. If we want to, we can go ahead and play around with it to add it, to test it out. So let's say this is the 22nd. This is yes. Let's go ahead and change this to the 22nd as well. This one's still no, so let's change this to the 12th. And that one is yes. So now I can go back to my task list, click recurring, And this is why we test things out. We never attach anything to this recurring. So if I click on the recurring, it's just going to allow me to change it, and that's it. So what I want to do is I want to right-click on recurring and assign a macro. And the one that I want is copy recurring task to task list. Then I'll hit OK. So now whenever I click this button right here, it will automatically add everything that's a recurring task to the bottom of this list. And it will only copy ones that are marked as yes. So you can see right here that we have both of the ones that are marked as yes. The task added date's automatically added. The deadline is copied over as a fixed date instead of a formula. And then if we go back to our recurring tasks, it automatically added today's date as the last added date. So that way it's ready to go to calculate the formula again whenever it's ready to be done. Now if you click on here and nothing gets added, that means that there was nothing to add for that date. I'm going to go ahead and add some filters right here. So I'm going to select everything, go down a couple thousand, click filter. And now that we have filters, right now it's not in the correct order, so I can simply click here, click on ascending, it'll automatically sort based off the priority. Now, as I mentioned, even though this has a lower priority, the deadline is higher than this recurring task. So if we go back to our dashboard, we'll see that it's sorted based off of the date, and then it's sorted based off of the priority. So if we had two that have the same date, it will go based off the priority. Otherwise, it goes by date. And we also have all of our tasks listed here on the calendar based off of whatever deadline they have. And anything that's in done is grayed out. Anything that is in pending is green. And if you want to change this color scheme or make it bold or anything like that, you can do so in the conditional formatting. Make it your own. Last thing we have is our visualizations. The visualizations tab, we have our task focus, our task priority, task completed, and on-time completion, all broken up by week as well as month. The pivot table should automatically update whenever you send a new task over. So for example, let's say that today is 6/2. Let's go ahead and mark this task as done. Now if I go back to my visualizations, we should have a brand new week, and we should have a brand new month, and everything is updated automatically. If you cut any corners and see these little lines, you go back to design. I did that by going to the quick layout and selecting those. You can simply uncheck the lines right here, and you're good to go. All right, so that's everything. Now your task tracker is complete. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and like and comment for more.